brilliant, the smartest person in the room. But the second they hit a wall, silence. They would rather spend hours, even days, struggling alone than just ask for a little bit of help. What is going on there?
Now, the immediate knee-jerk reaction is to say, oh, it's just pride. It's got to be ego, right? They don't want to look like they don't have all the answers. And look, it's an easy explanation, but it's also maybe a little bit judgmental. But what if that's not it at all? What if the real reason is way deeper and has less to do with feelings and more to do with, well, mechanics? What if the answer isn't a personality trait, but it's literally baked into the way their brain is wired to solve problems? Okay, so let's get into this idea. It's called the cognitive paradox. And here's the most important thing to get right away. This isn't about a flaw in someone's character. It's actually a feature of how they think. So what is this paradox exactly? Well, it's a state where a brain has this incredibly strong default preference for one way of thinking. We'll call it internal reasoning. And that preference is so strong, it makes it really, really hard to switch gears and do something else, like the social ritual of asking for help. To really get this, we have to look at what the brain actually wants in these moments. It's not just about getting the right answer. It's about this powerful, deep-seated drive for something called internal coherence. So what does that mean? It means that for this kind of thinker, an answer is pretty much useless unless they understand why it's the answer. They need to build it themselves, from the ground up, so they can see how every single piece connects to the fundamental truth of the problem. And the main tool for this is what's called internal reasoning. It's all about building these mental cause and effect chains. This isn't just daydreaming, it's a really specific process. You're building a solution from scratch, from first principles, and making absolutely sure that every single step logically flows from the last one. And you know, it's super methodical. It's not just winging it. First, you have to isolate the real problem. Then, you gather the basic, undeniable truths about it, the first principles. From there, you actually construct a mental model of how the whole system works. And only then, at the very end, do you test your solution against that model you built. It's a complete, self-contained system. And this brings us to the core conflict. This is where the friction happens. It's the big clash between reasoning and rituals. These are two totally different roads that, might lead to the same destination. Just look at how different they are. Internal reasoning is all about the process. It's about building from scratch, going deep, making sure everything makes perfect sense. The social ritual of asking for help, that's all about the outcome. It's about getting the answer efficiently, using shortcuts, and, valuing the social connection. They're practically polar opposites. I love this analogy. Think about it this way. The internal reasoner is like a master woodworker building a table from a raw piece of lumber. They select the wood, measure every cut, sand it, join it. They understand it inside and out. Asking for help is like someone handing them a flat-pack furniture kit. Sure, you end up with a table either way, but for the woodworker, the entire point, the whole joy of it was in the process of building it themselves. And that is the absolute key. For a brain that is wired to find value in that process of construction, being handed a shortcut, the answer, doesn't feel like help at all. It feels like abandoning the mission. It feels like you're being asked to cheat on the test you've been studying so hard for. It just invalidates the whole reason you started in the first place. So, once you see it like that, you can start to reframe how you think about that independent person. It lets us move away from judging them and shift towards, actually understanding where they're coming from. Let me just say it plainly, because this is the big takeaway. The reluctance to ask for help, it's not a character flaw. It's not them being stubborn. It is a cognitive style. It's just a different way of processing the world. And there's this quote from the source material we're looking at that it nails it. It says, "The struggle to take advice is a byproduct of a brain that prioritizes internal reasoning." See? The struggle isn't the problem, it's just the natural side effect of a brain that's optimized to think in this really deep, methodical way. So, why is this a big deal? Why does this matter? Well, for one, if you are this person, it can help you stop beating yourself up about it. If you work with someone like this, it gives you a lens of empathy. You can understand their process. That can lead to way better collaboration. And honestly, for all of us, it just helps us understand that there are many different and equally valid ways of thinking. Which leaves us with a much better question to ask, doesn't it? If we can finally accept that this is a feature, not a bug, then the question isn't why on earth won't they just ask for help? The question becomes how can we better support a brain that's literally built to build? Now that's something worth thinking about.